So this week I'm going over to my sister's for dinner, and I offered to make dinner. So I gotta come up with something I can make that, everyone's gonna like. That's where shepherd's pie comes in. Enjoy. Doesn't that look yummy? So first thing we have to do is the potatoes. I did wash these, I just wanted to show you. There's 12. I'm gonna chop them up small. We'll give them a rinse. And when we're done that, we're going to get them on the stove to cook about 20-25 minutes or so. We want them to really get nice and soft. We're going to throw a little bit of salt in for flavoring. And while we're waiting for our potatoes, we're going to cook our meat. So I've got 3 pounds of hamburger I've thawed out. That's all going to go into the frying pan. And the fun part is cooking up all this burger. So we're going to chop it up as best we can. And you have to have a little bit of patience when you're cooking a lot of meat like this. It doesn't cook in 10 seconds. You got to have a little bit of patience. It's going to take 10 or 15 minutes to get it to where you need it to go. Spin it around, chop it up. If you don't, you'll end up with one big hamburger. I prefer mine like almost as mushy as possible. I really don't like big chunks in it. So I just keep hammering away at it and turning the burger and flipping around and mixing it. Eventually, now you'll also notice that I haven't spiced anything up yet. I'm going to do that later. So as you can see, it's slowly but surely coming together. And it's starting to look more like cooked hamburger, which is what we want. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it pretty well cooked. So to that I'm adding onions. If you want to pre-cook and soften them up a bit, you can do that too. I chose not to. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends. So you're going to incorporate this into the burger and let it cook for, a few minutes. I guess if you really wanted to, you could sit there and let it simmer for 10-15 minutes, but I was kind of in a hurry. I wanted to get this in the oven and get going. Now it's frozen corn, and of course I didn't count on all the liquid that was going to be in, so eventually I had to drain some of it before I actually put the burger into the pan. Well, you do have to be careful of that. Now the hamburger's done, and the potatoes are nice and cooked. I've drained them. So now we're going to mix them up. This is a trick that my dad used for years. I've adopted it. It works really well. You could use a masher if you want. Not an issue. I like using a beater. It can get them nice and fluffy. Not perfectly fluffy because, of course, once again, I did leave the skins on, so they're not going to come out perfect. I got it started, and then I put in a splash of milk. You don't want to put too much in because then it'll just get runny. But you want enough to kind of loosen up the potatoes. And I've done them both ways. I've done them where I need to put more in. I've done them where my potatoes turned out soupy. But you are putting this together in a whole dish, so you don't want to go crazy. You want the potatoes to at least stand up. So you just mix and mix and mix, and eventually you're going to end up with something that looks like this. It looks nice and fluffy. Well, now we're going to put a little bit of spice in it, and you can do it any way you want. I did it very simply, just some pepper, some garlic powder, and a little bit of parsley. Probably about, I'm thinking a tablespoon of pepper, maybe a tablespoon of garlic, and a teaspoon of parsley. But I mean, if you want to add different things, not put in things, that's fine. You do it however you want. That's the beauty of cooking, is that you can make changes to someone's recipe and make it your own. So we're going to incorporate all this into the potatoes. so I don't have to do it later. And of course, it's much easier to mix it with the mixer than it is by hand. Well, now we get to assemble everything. So here's the tins I'm going to use. That way I don't have to worry about bringing a pan home. So I've already drained the liquid as best I could from the hamburger. So we're going to dump that 3 pounds of hamburger in the bottom of the tray. It looks like a lot. My son was a little concerned that I wasn't going to be able to fit everything in. I did. Now here's the key ingredient that I tried this. It worked really well, so I'm doing it again. I've got 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup. Normally, if you made a regular pan of this stuff, you would only use 1. Because I'm making a double batch, I'm using double the soup, of course. So now we want to mush that around and get it all nice and incorporated in with the hamburger. Now, I've also thought about, making it a little spicier, putting in jalapenos or, giving it a kick or something. I haven't gotten that risque yet and wanting to try it. This is about as wild as I've gotten. But it does occur to me that that might be something to try down the road. So it does take a little bit to incorporate the soup. You just keep mixing. You want to make sure that you don't end up with, just uncovered hamburger. And once you got it, you kind of mush it down and make it flat and pretty. So the next thing is I've got a layer of cheese. And rather than using shredded cheese, we just kind of sliced up what I had. It was cheddar, and I also had some mozzarella I wanted to use up. Let's put it all together because you can't have enough cheese in a dish. There's the mozzarella, and the cheddar's already down. I think we chopped up just enough to cover the pan. Well, now the fun part comes with the potatoes. So I brought the pot of potatoes over, and we're going to scoop that all on the top. Now, I have to be careful because, of course, if I mush things around too much, all that cheese is going to go sliding all over. What I figured was I'd slowly put it on and then just kind of pat it into place so I didn't have to do a whole lot. Well, you just take your time, make it look. And then I had this wild idea about making something really fancy and making little ridges and, kind of like icing on a cake, right? Little ridges and make it look pretty. And so I started mushing around, and it was fun for a second. And then I just thought, I'm hungry. I got to get this thing in the oven. Which, by the way, if you haven't done it already, you probably should have preheated your oven to 350. Just a suggestion. Now we've got the meat and the potatoes all ready to roll, and of course, now we need some cheese for the top. You need a good layer of cheese on the top. That's what makes it look all yummy. I had a bag of Tex-Mex from Costco, and that's what I used. If you couldn't tell already, because the bag's in the shot, But there's what it looks like when it's done, once we finally get the bag and my arms out of the way. It's nice, it's pretty, it's heavy, and now it needs to go in the oven. Bake it for about 20 minutes, 25, and when it's done, there's our shepherd's pie. Now, how simple was that? Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you do, please leave me a comment below. Give me a like. I'd sure appreciate that. You can share this in any other video. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit the bell, and that'll tell you the next time I upload a video. And as always, Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.